finds these two sides, of the elves that are obviously very ancient, and in some ways even share some of the same goals with Sauron. They're fading at this time. They want to preserve things. They can be pretty arrogant. So he's definitely not a straight hero. Yes.
And he's the primary character of the DLC story pack, correct?
Yes. Okay. So because I don't think this is too much of a spoiler, but maybe a little bit of a spoiler. But anyway, that's the point. Yeah. As you're going through the game and he's learning more of his identity, he's learning more of his past, he's doing that through having flashbacks to the Second Age when he was alive. So what that DLC allows us to do is to take those flashbacks and that era and sort of explore that and flesh that out
you guys just announced a season pass. You guys are going to be supporting the game after release with a bunch of new, obviously, story content. It's a single-player game.
Yep. So yeah, it's both. It's story content, and then because the game is so sandbox orientated, each time if we can, as well as dropping in story missions, we can drop a feature in. It really lets you sort of change up the tools you can have in your toolbox. Oh, sorry, Bob. So here we are.
He's made it.
We have reached Ukrom Beastslayer. This is his power struggle. And so what we're going to do, we'll probably let him succeed in this mission.
So are we going to find the intel about his weaknesses in this mission then?
Have we? I wasn't paying. We haven't.
No intel.
Okay, so we don't actually know his strengths. Yes, we're going in blind.
I believe in you, Bob.
We can help him succeed and let him kind of get even higher.
Yep, we will. Yeah, so again, this guy, he can't believe how lucky he is.
He's going to elevate, he's going to rank up again after he gets
He's going to rank up as a result of this mission and continue to move up through the hierarchy.
You're just feeding him victories and making him stronger.
Until ultimately, by the end of this hour, we will tear him down.
It's very much, it's like a heavyweight, a smart, like a Muhammad Ali. Like, I'm going to make you think you can beat me, and then when you're overconfident.
He can handle it, Bob, don't worry. So he's the Beast Slayer as well, and of course, as a Beast Slayer, his mission out here in the world, we can see him in the background, should be to try and take down these beasts, which he has successfully done. So his success in this mission of hunting these Caragors and monsters has led to him now getting promoted again and now gaining another level. So.
How does it change the relationship of the other orc captains and lieutenants in that hierarchy as he ascends?
So they can either get promoted, which is really just leveling up. They're gaining experience, they're growing in power, they're getting new skills. And then they can also, in some of the missions, they're directly competing against each other. So they'll fight duels against each other.
So the orcs aren't unified necessarily against you?
No.
You're just some guy. They're doing their own thing?
Their life, the orc society is kind of going on at the same time. Oh, this guy in green, don't kill him. He's...
Okay, here we go. Now we can get some intel from him.
Yes, so now we can get some intel, and that'll allow us to really sort of keep track of Ukrom's strengths and weaknesses.
So this is the dominate feature. You're kind of taking control of him. You can, depending on the character, right? You can, in intel, you can send them as spies on other missions and all sorts of things.
Yep, and so in this case, so it's really, you're able to actually enter their minds, in effect, and see all the connections within
Vulcan.
Sauron's. Right. Yeah, how Wraith. Yeah, I always think of, the Nazgul coming up and just like Baggins, and with the hobbits. So you're kind of almost, I think there is kind of a symmetry there that within Mordor, you really are the monster to these guys. Right. You really are the kind of the...
How many times does you and everyone on the development team have to read the books? Over the course of is it like required reading before you guys start doing anything?
We read. I think the thing is, so of course there's the main books, the main texts, and then the appendices were of course really important because you're trying to all of those connections and that history and telling that larger story, and then some of the other stuff that was very inspirational is the great thing with Tolkien is he wrote a lot of letters. He wrote letters to his publisher saying, this is the intention of these books, this is what they're about, this is what they mean, this is and because I think it's very much, not just trying to be authentic to the facts or the details, but trying to be authentic to the themes of them as well. And especially because we're dealing with all those ideas of domination and power and evil. Well, that wasn't very nice.
Could have spared him.
Yeah.
Nope.
So anyway, so now having gathered intel, now we know the Beast Slayer's strengths and weaknesses. And I know you were just in there, but
prone to stealth, we found out. So stealth kills will take him down. Combat finishers will take him down. And I like these traits. Are these all totally randomized? His strengths?
They're not completely randomized.
Okay.
They're drawn from a pool, and then they're assigned based on a whole bunch of different things, such as his personality or his class. You know, if he's a defender. In this case, as a Beast Slayer, he's going to get the trait of being able to slay beasts.
Okay, makes sense.
He's battle hardened, he's tough, he heals well. And then the other thing we really wanted, because so much of what, we want to make this very dynamic sandbox where surprising things can happen. You know, monsters can come charging in, explosions can trigger, there's opportunities in the environment. So it's very dynamic, but then we want the enemies to react to those changes in the environment. So hates mean things like, so ghouls normally, or burns, they're often really powerful ways to turn a fight. But in this guy's case, he hates those things. They're going to actually enrage him and send him into a frenzy and actually make him more dangerous. So they have these fears and hates, so their personality plays into the fights and can sort of offer surprises and so on as well. So what we could maybe do now, so he's sort of on his way. He's entered the hierarchy. He's won his first mission. He's killed the Grave Walker. He's down at the base of kind of Orc society there. And maybe we could go after one of the war chiefs, one of the bosses.
Excellent.
And kind of make some space available for him to move up into. So Cougar fast feet. These. Actually, in this demo, because we wanted to go easy on Bob, we've locked this at about half the difficulty of where they can get to. So these guys are like power level 10. They can get to kind of double that. But the thing with the war chiefs is not only are they much tougher, but they also have bodyguards. They have followers from among the other leaders. So you're fighting these groups of bosses simultaneously. So maybe we'll... so you can see these lines. He's got the cook down the front, the guy with the shield,
nice.
Naruk the slaughterer. These guys, it's kind of a dual job in Orc society. You're the battlefield surgeon and the barber, and you're responsible for the cooking. So kind of anything that has to do with meat or flesh, that's your job. And then the other guy, the silhouette, he's not known about yet. So we could only learn about him if we gathered intel. So he's the first war chief. What else we got up here? The hacker. So he's obviously not very subtle in combat. And the other thing with these guys, as hopefully we'll see from our Beastmaster, as they get up to the top of Orc society, they're making a lot of enemies on the way there. So they're very paranoid. So they're not just wandering around. The only way to face them in combat is to actually draw them out, is to challenge them, because of course they can't be seen to be cowardly by
well,
by the other
let's do
orcs
it.
and
Let's
their
get out
followers.
there.
All right,
and,
let's go get one. So we got the hacker.
And while we do that, I want you to tweet your questions at IGN, and we will hashtag Shadow of Mordor. Correct?
Baghead. Yes. Oh, this guy's scarred.
And we are giving away Shadow of Mordor T-shirts, and we're going to have a copy of the game as well. So it's it's no doubt on your holiday shopping list already. This will mean if you happen to win, send in a good question. If we select it and you win, it's one less game you have to worry about purchasing, because we'll just send it to you, courtesy of these guys here. So our first Twitter question comes to us from Jesse Staub, who asks, how many combinations of runes are there? Can we talk about the rune system and what's just yet another layer of this oniony game?
Excellent. Yes, that's a great question. So we're going to go after this war chief here. And actually, just think of this in relation to the runes. He's already going to be pretty tough, but maybe we'll grab someone and send a death threat against him on the way, which that's how we get the epic runes, which are our most powerful runes. So you can warn the guys that you're coming after them. They'll level up even more. They'll get even tougher. They'll have gangs of guys with them, even more bodyguards around. But as a result, when you take them down, you can get even more powerful runes.
So if you make good on your word, you're rewarded for it, basically.
Exactly. If you say, I'm coming for you, and you pay that off, the rune that you get to carve onto your weapon as kind of, a demonstration of your vengeance. Oh. And then here we go. Here's another guy, an assassin that's hunting around. Basically, any time you defeat one of these named enemies, these nemesis enemies, they're going to drop a rune. if you exploit their vulnerabilities, so if he's vulnerable to stealth and you do a stealth kill, he's going to drop a dagger rune, which you can put on your dagger, which upgrades your stealth.
Combat finisher.
Okay, so he's vulnerable to combat, so if we can take his head off with a cord move, that should give us a sword rune, which will then we'll be able to slot onto our sword.
What were you talking about earlier with Talion being able to make good on his word? I think that's what makes him such an interesting character. Is he's not a great man. He's a threatening hero, and he's very brutal.
Yeah, very much. I mean, the starting point of our inspiration was absolutely Boromir at the Council of Elrond.
Right, yeah.
And that belief, and Saruman says the same thing, that the only possible way you can take on this sort of evil is by facing it head on, is by matching it in terms of ruthlessness and so on. So, so he's very much within that mold. And I think, for us, one of the things that you sometimes read or see as a reaction about Tolkien is that it is oversimplified good guys and bad guys, but we really, didn't take that angle at all. Yeah, exactly. And the characters within the grey areas in Tolkien are fantastic. Whether it's Saruman, whether it's Boromir, whether it's Gollum, even Thranduil, even in The Hobbit, which is seen as maybe more of a kid's story, even Thorin. So we really wanted to explore that very much with Talion. Sorry, I was just going to go back to that rune.
Yeah, we've equipped the rune now. It's got a bonus for the critical strike here.
Yeah, there we go. So we used his vulnerability. So that was gave us a sword rune. Also his level. So he was level 9, so the tougher these guys get, the better runes they're going to drop. The better runes they drop, the higher the bonuses that's going to award. So
this is an action-adventure game, but there are some very significant RPG elements in this game.
Yeah, both to our sort of as part of the philosophy we wanted to have all of your abilities as you gain experience and level up. Really give you a very meaningful new skill. So your power growth is really strong. From the start of the game, when you kind of walk into Mordor, it's pretty overwhelming. To late game...
One does not simply walk into Mordor.
Absolutely. Unless one can defy death. Yeah.
Unless you tell me.
Yeah, exactly. And then, so every one of our skills, really do add something meaningful. We don't put any of our passive buffs there, but runes, there's all sorts of buffs and bonuses.
Okay.
And then epic runes really let you have very powerful kind of critical attacks, like guys' heads are exploding and they're setting on fire, and really.
Oh, we got to see some of that.
Legendary things. So if we can get hold of a epic rune, so what we need to do, get an epic one.
Oh, but he had intel.
I know. There's a few more. We can see on the mini-map, there's a few more of those green markers.
Green markers. Yeah.
So if we can get one of those, what we need to do is we need to send a death threat against this war chief and see if we can get one of those.
And how do you do that? I mean, I suppose we're about to see it.
You do that through the same loop as the interrogation. So you grab these guys. You can either interrogate to gain intel, or you can send a message.
And it's like a 1989 Michael Keaton Batman situation where it's like, I want you to tell all your friends about me.
It's exactly. Or there's a great movie called The Limey with Terrence Stamp, where he's just tell them all that I'm coming for him. So it's that idea that you're going to tell them you're coming for them, and that's going to grow your legend, which is then represented by these runes that you on.
No death threat.
No death threat in this build. All right.
Then we'll do it.
Right,
okay,
we're gonna make it happen.
I'll knock some stuff. Bob is making some stuff happen here.
So I realised with all of that rambling on that I did then, I didn't actually answer the initial question of how many rune combinations. I think the answer is lots. So
good answer.
By the time they modify all of your different core stats of attack, defense, and then we have all the variables in how big those bonuses are. And then you have all of the different rune slots on each of your 3 weapons. It's pretty much bazillions.
By the way, the game, looking completely different here during the daytime. Obviously, full day-night cycle, and it's, does nighttime have any actual effect on the gameplay, or is it more of a for show?
No, the thing we really wanted to do is to make Mordor feel like a very kind of wild and dangerous place.
Yeah.
And also to make it feel like somewhere that Sauron and even his forces haven't aimed as yet. So we wanted nighttime to feel extremely dangerous. So what Bob's actually doing here, we've got to take down these berserkers, who are these elite soldiers, to draw out the war chief. So that's going to deliver the challenge that he's going to come out and face. Nice. That was a berserker who was also a captain, so that gives us a dagger rune as well, so we can upgrade our stealth. So now we can earn back our focus each time we do a stealth kill.
So let's get to another Twitter question. This one comes to us from Salmon, who writes, will there be any cameo appearances from characters from the Hobbit or Lord of the Rings movies?
Yes. Some of them are obviously more than cameos, so Gollum has very much a key part in our story. He also has this connection to the One Ring. He's also in Mordor at this time because, you know, it just got stolen by this filthy, horrible little hobbit. So he's searching for it. And Galadriel, of course, we heard, you know, in our prologue. This is a fair bit earlier. We're still about 80 years before the Lord of the Rings. So Aragorn and so on still pretty young at this time. And but we do, and then we do have. So there's actually one other really important character in our story, but it would be a bit of a spoiler.
Right, hold on.
And the other one, I forgot the most important one of all, maybe, is Sauron himself, because you know, obviously within Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, as the necromancer and Sauron, he's very much kind of a more abstract representation of evil. So now we're within this stronghold, and there's another one of these captains who's made his way here. We've still got 2 berserkers to kill to bring out the war chief.
This dude has an army with him too. He's not really messing around.
No, that's so their traits as they upgrade. It's not only their own skills and abilities; it's also their leadership skills. So they've got skills that will enable them to summon in more reinforcements, or will boost the guys who are their followers, or they'll bring in gangs as well. So the challenge of it can get pretty epic.
It's a lot of swimming upstream. Seems like you're just everything you do is kind of contributing to more challenging encounters later on.
Yeah, that's what we've sort of tried to do with the difficulty is make the world, it can be extremely hard, and the enemies can be extremely tough. So we sort of haven't held back on that. But then on the other side, by giving them weaknesses and by letting you gather intel and giving you a lot of tools in your toolbox, if you do plan and go after them and use their weaknesses and take them down, you can be very dominant as well. So I tried to. So, and these strongholds are a great example, because so what have we got now? We've got like 5 of these nemesis enemies at once.
We're definitely seeing the action, the combat at work now.
That's a combat brand, so that really helps you turn the tide of combat, because these guys will start fighting for you. If Bob does happen to die here, which could happen.
Taste of death, Ranger. Death to all men.
Nice. So that horn, that means he's going to be blowing that and probably summoning more guys here, because there's obviously not enough. But so all of these guys will remember this encounter. Any of them who survive. If any of them live and run away, or if Talion dies, or if they see Talion die.
And can any of these guys become the kind of growing lieutenants throughout the ranks? Like if one of these random guys kills Bob here, does he become a named character?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Just like that first guy that we encountered at the beginning. And then even the personalities of the different war chiefs can play into that as well. Like some guys will just walk away without delivering the killing blow. They just want to humiliate you, and then they'll remember that next time. Yeah. Other guys will break and run away, and just try and live to fight another day.
So
he knows, he likes an audience. He's happy that this is crowded. He's happy that there's a lot of guys here to watch this fight. So, it's the closest analogy. It's really almost like sports commentary. We're aware of the situation. We've got a memory of what's happened before. We know where the flow of combat's going. That's just triggered his hate. So normally fire's a really good way to turn the tide in these. But in his case, it's just made him very, very angry.
It's great to see that amid, these normal combat situations that we're used to in action games where you're fighting against groups of guys, you're basically having simultaneous boss fights as bosses descend on you.
Yeah, we can have a simultaneous boss fight with new boss fights coming into the mix. That's something we very much wanted to do is, not make self-contained encounters, but able to have the stealth very dynamically flow into combat.
What have we just done? What has Bob just done? He's just
he's gone
he's
crazy.
released the hounds.
He's out of control. Oh, great.
Oh, this
so
guy's-
there we go.
yeah, that's
That was
great.
perfect.
He's
So
out
that
of
was
here.
a guy who was
Nicely.
extremely tough, obviously. But this guy hates him. So this is how things can change up. So the war chief himself, very tough and difficult to take down, but by using his fear, not only has he fled, which has weakened him, but that's actually broken him away from the group. So it's a great chance to get him alone. But this other guy with the hatred of these Caragors is probably going to make short work of them. Oh,
Another one. It's kind of nice too. I mean, you have this monster that's on its own and it's attacking things because it's being attacked. And it might kill somebody who you want to dominate. You have to kind of take control of the situation in a way that, you know, you don't always have complete
back
dominance
here.
over
Hey, buddy,
an
wanna
encounter.
be friends?
yeah, trying to, there's a lot of potential chaos, but then trying to sort of control and manage that chaos as well, especially deeper in the game where you're actually trying to build your own army and you want to keep these guys alive, it can really turn in. Okay, excellent. So,
All right, so we're getting some intel here.
yeah, so we've got a war chief. We can gather intel on other guys, or we can actually command him. So now, because we have one of the
Send him
the
after
bosses,
one of the higher ups.
yes, we can send him after another one, and then we'll get a battle between these two war chiefs as
He was
well.
a high-ranking guy too.
He is, yeah. He actually
highest.
is the war chief. So some of these other guys have survived. He's moved, but now by creating a riot, we can send that first war chief to actually start a battle against one of the other guys. So we'll do that. We'll pick who's on the left, far left. I can't see him silhouetted there. The ever wounded. So we'll create a riot as well. So he's accepted that challenge. And these two war chiefs will battle each other along with, bringing all their sort of bodyguards along to the fight.
He's a tough dude.
I'll
Yeah,
say.
he should be pretty strong. So we'll go and see how that plays out.
So now the riot is a new mission that's opened up regarding these two war chiefs, and you basically have to go there and ensure victory.
Yeah,
that the
exactly.
idea here?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot of possible outcomes from the riot at that point. You could either take the opportunity to kill both of them. You could try and brand both of them. You could try and secure the one you want to survive actually wins.
If Bob were to just pass time, because let's say you can go to your
Oh,
town
yeah,
and you can just pass time, would
Yep.
that let it play out on its own?
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah. So if you want to resolve things and you're confident in how things will work, actually we could probably show that as well, because we can also see our initial little friend. Yep. Is he on? Okay. So if we go to one of our Wraith towers.
That's the nearest one. Okay,
Yep.
that makes sense.
Let's do it.
So when you fast travel, does time pass, or do you have to do that separately?
You have to advance time
Okay.
separately. So there's our guy.
That's
Our
Yeah.
initial buddy.
He's had a feast and he's now leveled up again, so he's continuing to grow in power.
This butcher he's rising. He's making stuff happen. So what happened there? He killed one of the lieutenant guys and then got chased off
Yes.
by a newcomer.
Yep. So they're having their various duels, battles, missions. There's someone else who's up now. So the whole thing's constantly evolving, but our beast hunter still hasn't moved up in the world.
So I'm seeing all this dynamic stuff that you guys are promising. We're seeing it pay off already. But what I am curious of is, how does the story fit into all this? Because there's all these relationships and vendettas and challenges going on. But obviously there is an overarching story to the game as well.
Yep. And that was something we focused on a lot. So here we can see Mog, the Wrath Breeder. He's branded. He's ours. He's going to face Takra, the Ever Wounded. And what we really have tried to do is, there's some story missions that are, I guess, sort of outside of the living world. They're very, character focused,
Sure.
like when you're off with Gollum and so on. And then there's other moments where the Nemesis system is really key to moving forward the story. So, for example, the Black Captains, the guys who are responsible for your death at the start of the game, in order to draw them out, to sort of try and challenge them, sort of on it's a larger scale version of one of these missions we've seen. To draw them out, you have to assassinate the war chiefs within Udun. So to move the story forward, you're playing with the Nemesis system, but then how that actually plays out and who those guys are in the Nemesis system is really going to be unique each time. And then later in the game, for example, where we are here, where the goal is actually again, to raise your own army, your own sort of army of these dominated soldiers to challenge the Black Captain. Again, how you actually do that and who the guys are that are in your force, that's going to be completely up to you as well. So there's these really key story beats where we try and bring the two things together.
And it
Really
looks like we
empowering to
had
see this too. That army of guys with glowing eyes. It's a good feeling to have those guys at your back.
well, and it looks like we had location-based damage there. We purposely shot a guy in the leg to sort of immobilize him, and then ran up and jumped him.
Yeah, the pin move's really handy because, especially if they're fleeing and getting away. So here, this is another guy worn down. Now we can command him. And even sometimes what you want to do is, okay, we've got him. So we can initiate lots of options. So now he's in the hierarchy. He's sort of mid-level. He could go and challenge other guys down below to a duel. He can become a bodyguard of one of those other war chiefs. So if we send him to become a bodyguard of the war chief we already have, that makes him more powerful, which will then make him more successful when he goes on.
That's a long diet.
I'm realizing this game, it's like the Middle-earth Mafia. Everybody, got to kind of, are you a low-level guy, a mid-level guy, are you a captain?
I got my guy over with these guys.
You have a crew.
Yeah.
I love it.
I mean, and that really was a reference point for us. And, prison movies, like basically all of any sort of society where your position is determined by basically violence and power and status, and those things correlate. Which, it's sort of Tolkien's comment that, we were all orcs in the Great War. Like when we didn't want our orcs to feel kind of fantasy cliched orcs, we wanted them to feel like real characters who've been put in this world where everything is determined by violence and power and domination and fear.
Is there a situation where you would kill somebody instead of dominating them for some kind of advantage? Because personally,
runes.
I look at okay, that makes sense. That's actually a really, really good answer. That makes the economy significantly more interesting, right? Because I'm the kind of person who would like to have this growing army and have control over everything, but that comes at the expense of, I guess, not having combat bonuses.
Yes, yeah, so the runes, and also the other place where people tend to enjoy killing is revenge. So, on the sort of macro scale, we've got this kind of overarching, kind of really epic story of revenge with Celebrimbor and Sauron. And then on the more personal story, you've got it with sort of Talion and the Black Hands. And then even within the sort of moment-to-moment gameplay loops. There we go. I actually got an epic rune for that guy. So that gold, that's an epic rune. Interesting. So he's gone. And so there we go. That was an advantage of killing that guy.
Oh, now it's your guy is on the
who
pedestal.
was his bodyguard. So you've made the position, made your own guy. He can now move up. And now we've got an epic rune. Run.
If you guys could make a Sopranos game after this, I think that could be really good.
There's so many like societies and things. It would be sort of fun. Like the Nemesis system's kind of fun from that point of view. So this one, this particular rune, this is a stand and fight. So now, if your health is down, all your combat damage is gonna double. So this is really gonna help sort of pull back in.
And that could play into other runes, right? Like if you have some kind of lifesteal equipped with a rune, or critical strike gaining health back, that could you double your damage or you double your crit chance. There's a nice economy there just with your weapons.
Yeah, and actually that's a really good point of how they play into each other. Another difference between the epic runes is they're always unique. They don't stack.
Oh, okay.
They're really like one-off things. But all of the other runes do stack.
Interesting.
So you can actually get, if you get a level 25 normal rune, it can in some cases even be more powerful than the epic rune, but because of how they do actually stack and build up there as well.
So here's a good question. Obviously there's just so many dynamic things going on in this game. Our next Twitter question comes to us from Alejandro Zaya Hanau, who wins a t-shirt, a Shadow Mordor t-shirt. Asks, is there any way to customize the main character, as in appearance? Customize your appearance at all in the game?
Through the main story, we don't. Like we sort of really wanted to follow his evolution. I guess Talion's almost his fall, as he's almost becoming more wraith-like during the course of the game. But then we do also have the skins that you can lock as well. So the Dark Ranger skin is sort of the ultimate one of him at the end of that evolution, where he's sort of dark and hooded and so on. So maybe we could show the past time now because we've made some sort of slots. We can see the sort of some spaces.
Made a mess is what you've made,
Yes. In this orc hierarchy. So now if time moves forward, we might get to see our little friend move up as well and see if he takes advantage of that to move his way up in orc society.
In the meantime, our next question comes to us from me. I win a T-shirt. No, I don't. Really.
Congratulations.
I'm
Ryan.
curious. Just from what I'm seeing, do you guys have some super crazy testers who can complete this game, like find ways to manipulate the whole hierarchy and finish the game in like record time? Because it seems like you could really just worm your way through and manipulate all sorts of relationships and encounters.
Oh, look, here's his chance. Sorry, I just have to say, so the short answer to that question is yes, absolutely. So here we go. So he's now been promoted and he's become a bodyguard of one of the war chiefs. So this was the guy who at the beginning of our playthrough was a no one. So now, if we can go after that war chief, take him down and then defeat these other bodyguards, that'll give the Beast Slayer a chance at moving up. So, one of the questions that sort of came up a lot through development and through testers is, like, can I dominate everybody in the hierarchy, or what happens if I kill everyone, or so all of those sort of what ifs. And I think very early we came to the realization just to let those things happen, not to artificially restrict things, but really let players express themselves and check that out. What happens if I have one war chief and the whole rest of the hierarchy is his bodyguard and it's his vast gang and so on.
You've got some really great artistic diversity here, too. I mean, we talked at the beginning about having the new hardware be a great advantage, but you guys are doing really interesting things with Mordor as a place. It's typically something, especially in the films, you see it, and it's black and it's bleak. And here, this it's clearly old and broken, and it's seen some bad times, but it's kind of pleasant right now during the day.
Well, I think the interesting thing, so Mordor at the beginning of its transformation, just after Sauron's returned, is sort of a hint of what the rest of Middle-earth or the rest of the Earth would be like as that evil starts to progress and starts to take it over. And the other thing, this particular area, the Sea of Nirn, that was sort of fun is, Frodo and Sam actually speak to it when they're entering Mordor, that this is how Sauron actually manages to, feed all of those vast armies of tens of thousands of orcs, because they can't eat ash and lava and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's sort of part of trying to make Mordor into an actual, genuine living place and sort of have that bit of authenticity to it as well. So this area within Nirn, this is the fishing village, so they're sort of obviously dragging all the life out of this sea.
Bob is ice cold over there with that bow and arrow.
I just see how long we've got. If we're going to make this, if he's going to make it.
20 minutes?
Oh, right. Oh, we'll make it. That's cool. We get our final revenge.
All right.
Unfortunately, it's not TV, so we can stay on the air an extra 2 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
We don't have another live show to get to.
So the skill here, as Bob was obviously doing pretty well with the bow there, is to actually challenge this war chief by getting some headshots and taking out his followers.
And that's just what brings him out, right?
Yeah, exactly. And depending on their personality and their rank and where you find them. Oh,
he's
an
a
elite
treat.
captain.
Oh, actually, and he's a sniffer as well. So and
Cannot
fearless.
be terrified.
Yeah, he's not going to run. He's going to stand and fight, and he's pretty tough as well.
So you can't. He had the trait that allowed him to smell you out. Are there combinations where you could be hiding, and is there anybody who could be vulnerable to stealth but could also sniff you out? Because that seems like a really challenging thing to have.
Yes.
Right? Like they could find you if you're hiding.
Yep.
So it's like an extra reward if you get the stealth kill.
Oh,
What is this?
excellent!
We have
We've
a
got
skill
death
tree
threat.
here?
So now
Excellent.
we can level up. Now we can let death threat, and now we'll be able to deliver that and have a better chance of some epic runes as well. Our fire arrows.
Tell
are
him
pretty
I'm coming.
handy as well. Yeah. Again, yeah, that's a really good question, and that's something we also wrestled with a lot. What combinations of skills and abilities do we allow? Which ones do we disallow? Because some combinations are almost impossible to defeat.
Sure.
But as much as possible, we try and allow everything, but with that principle of always making sure there's a weakness, always making sure there's a way in if you gather the intel or if you turn them, against each other and so on. So.
Play balancing this game must not be fun.
It just goes wide-eyed.
It's not boring to play balance.
Seems like a million different ways this game could break from just exploiting, getting the wrong matchup, the wrong it turns out if I dominate this one guy, I win the game.
Yeah, I think the thing that ended up happening to address that is just being quite strong on both the strengths and the weaknesses as well. And that's what always gives it the potential to kind of, the situation can flip really suddenly. So it's like, oh, this is so dominant. I'm so dominating and controlling this situation. Oh no, these ghouls turned up, his hatred triggered, now he's berserk, and now he's decimating my guys or whatever. So there's always, it's always got the potential to surprise you or kind of flip the situation. Nice.
There's 5.
Okay, here they come.
Like, hey, what's going on with my crew here?
Here they come.
Anyone see 5 guys around here?
Those guys were supposed to come give me my foot massage.
Actually, zoom in on it so we can see.
Oh, it's that guy. It's that one dude.
That's the guy.
So he was the guy that just leveled up. He's got the greater chance of an epic rune, and he's got a gang protecting him.
Yes, and we can see there's a little red cross marking the skull on him, which
and
represents.
He's power level 9, so he's quite a bit higher than that initial, our initial friend that was 2 or 3 when
Here
we
he
started.
is.
And he, like me, has a fear of burning.
Yeah,
that's
a very
good
sensible fear. A lot of their fears are quite rational when you.
Fear of gigantic monstrous mounted beasts. Yeah.
Yeah, they can actually.
I get you.
They have actually. Some of them are sensible enough to have a fear of Talion, so they can reach a point where at the first sight of you, they'll actually break and run. And of course, some of these things that they can acquire, they can gain their fears or their hatreds through gameplay. So he can get a fear of burning through being burned, or he can get a hatred of monsters by being attacked by them and so on. So it goes with that sort of idea of memory. Oh.
I think that's something video games are missing a lot of, is exactly what you guys are doing and giving these characters, they respond. And it's kind of permanent, right? You have an evolution of a character, you have an arc for somebody who is just some guy.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's trying to put the player at the center of that, is because they're responding to and remembering things that
There's cause and effect, which isn't terribly prominent in a lot of games. Characters just are who they are, and you end them, and that's it. Here, you might get into a fight with somebody who flees. They might get away from you before you can do anything.
And the next time they see it, they'll remember that, and they'll try to do it again. So, it really is trying to let people create their own stories as well, their own, That's actually something that we've found a lot, is so people, if they don't get to talk to each other, if they just play their own version, they just play through the game, they actually don't fully realize, how different it could have been. It actually almost feels crafted. It's like, oh, I met this boss and he knew who he was and I had these missions.
And you've done your job then, I suppose.
Yeah. That's the end. Oh.
Okay, he's not getting up.
Yeah, that's going to leave more than a mark.
So that intimidates these guys here as well, right?
Yes, they're going to now break and run and flee, but also survive and remember that as well.
Yeah.
So, oh, there he is. Okay.
My man.
He's now a war chief.
So he is now he's power level 5, so he is the weakest war chief.
He's a little baby war chief.
Yeah.
But he's getting there.
So let's go and see him, see what he's got to say about that, if he remembers to actually thank us for getting him where he is today. You should appreciate that.
I love that Bob did this whole...
We made you!
He snuck in, he slaughtered everyone, he took over, he killed that war chief, and he's taken over the area, and now he's just sneaking back in. Everyone's running away, he's sneaking back in, nobody knows he's here.
So we've got about 15 minutes to go. Tom Wilson has our next question from Twitter. Remember, you can tweet us at IGN, #Shadow of Mordor, and you can win a t-shirt or a copy of the game coming up as well. Tom asks, can we still experiment with the Nemesis system after we've completed the game? It's a good question. Can you kind of keep going after the story is complete?
Yes, absolutely. Yep, so finish the story and then we open up the world in the sandbox. And as well as continuing with the Nemesis system, you can continue to find the very collectibles, you can do the various challenges, you know, play the different side missions and so on. So yeah, having sort of made this dynamic living world, we really want people to be able to keep running.
news.
Oh, he's running. Is he fleeing? Oh, you've got no ammo.
Coward!
Come back, we made you.
Yeah, but he's limping around.
Ugh. Okay, quick throw to slow him down.
Took an arrow to the knee.
Stop that.
Too late.
You're a
Can't
monster.
turn back now.
Don't decapitate him. You are going to dominate him, aren't you, Bob? Okay.
Dominate everything.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah,
Here they
he's so
come.
ruthless. He's a scary dude.
He is if you're an orc. It's definitely true.
I'm kind of afraid of him.
Yeah. I think that was so great getting to work with Troy as well. I think he did so much to sort of bring him to life and
Troy Baker,
Baker?
well-known voiceover
Yes.
maestro in the games industry.
To enjoy killing you.
Star of literally every video game.
Yep.
And yet he's got so much range as well.
He does.
Yeah.
He's,
And you would never know that he's certain characters in games if somebody didn't tell you.
he's escaped.
Come on, Bob. You got this. I believe in you.
There's a lot of guys coming down that ramp.
Yeah.
There he is. He's enjoying his new position as war chief. He's even got those 3 bodyguards. And he's moved. He's moved actually to the back of this zone. So, and of course, the way to draw him out, because he's the beast slayer, is to get down there and actually unleash those beasts within that stronghold. So,
You gotta draw him out. I made you.
And I will break you.
I brought you into this world.
we should get one more. We should definitely get one more encounter against him. Finish what we started.
I was say we got about the 10-minute warning here, guys. So we
Okay.
want to see if we can finish this.
Find our way out of this fishing village.
Oh.
Or we could die again. That's it. You know, you've got all the
not a terrible
excuse you
idea.
need to say that it was on purpose.
Except, yeah, Bob's got some pride on the line.
Yeah. It's fine. I can take down these 35 guys.
Oh, those berserkers are pretty tough. At least there is a captain up there, but he's hanging back a bit.
Wounded.
Okay.
Nobody will judge you if you throw in the towel, Bob. He's
I
kicking
will.
everybody.
Oh,
Oh.
defender. Okay.
Oh.
Really?
Might be all right. Might be okay.
Oh,
Ooh,
no.
just kidding. So that was the. Oh no.
That was the
No
last
second.
chance.
A spear right through the heart.
Reward me for this.
Classic Lugnack.
Promotion.
We will get our revenge on Lugnack when we delete this save game. Remember that? You're not going anywhere, Lugnack.
He's a scrub.
Okay.
He's level 2. I bet he doesn't even win this duel. Oh, he
That's begins
did.
again. Now he's moving in. Gets his flare, so he's battle hardened
can't stop
from his
Lugnack.
victory there.
You can only hope to contain him.
While he survives. So there's a fair bit of obviously sort of shuffling to go on the kind of orc hierarchy after all of this. Some more duels. Oh, that guy actually fled, so they don't even always kill each other in the duels as well.
Nobody
So
came
he's
back.
gonna he's shuffling back. He's still in that position, but he's being humiliated. Okay. All right.
There's a lot
He's
going on
moving
here.
up. Yep.
So it's worth noting before we go to, again, it's about 8 minutes left. You guys actually, a very rare case, you moved your release date up. You're out a week sooner than we originally thought you would be.
Yeah, we were pretty excited ourselves as well. Obviously, you know, you've got all the processes of development, all of our submissions, everything was going smoothly, and so yeah, we're super excited.
So
obviously,
September 30th now, correct?
Yes, September 30th.
Xbox One,
Wow.
PS4, PC.
Yes, and yes,
It's good. You get out of the way of that October maelstrom.
I think everyone got out of the way of that. So
Yeah.
it's weird. It sort of became the eye of the storm that ended up a bit calm. Okay, so you're saying before nighttime. So actually, night. There's a lot of these little creatures coming out, which are ghouls, and they're sort of these swarming, cannibalistic monsters that come out in these kind of hordes at nighttime.
Yeah, I noticed a few dudes earlier had a fear of those, or they had a hatred of ghouls.
Yes,
so they would respond differently in combat at night versus in day.
And there's less patrols out at night because it is so dangerous. There's a few with the torches here, less slaves working. So the sort of the population and the threats change a bit.
Let's give away another T-shirt, our final T-shirt before we get to the copy of the game. This is a good question from Alex. I'm gonna slaughter his last name if I try. I'm sorry, Alex, but you feel better with the T-shirt, courtesy of our friends here from WB and Monolith Games. Any chance there's a new game plus?
So we I don't know what the right term for it is, but we sort of went for the game plus rather than the new game plus, which rather than sort of starting again and continuing, that you can continue to play the game.
Okay.
The other things we do have, we then also have, you can carry your progress from the game into the challenge modes.
All right.
As well.
So you can bring your runes from that into the challenges.
Yes, and your abilities, and then they're scored as well. So they're scored. You know, how many times can you do it without dying? How fast can you do it? And then there's leaderboards.
So quickly, the challenge mode is what?
There's a number of them. The basic one is you've got the hierarchy. It's a preset hierarchy in this case, so everyone's sort of on an equal footing, which means we can score it for leaderboards and so on. And then it's scored for how fast can you take these guys down, how many points you can you do it without dying. So there's a scoring system around that and leaderboards. And you can take your progression with you through into that as well.
Excellent.
What about with the Celebrimbor story? Narratively, it might not make sense to bring anything you've earned from Calian's story there, but are there unique runes to his story? Do you bring runes from your campaign progress into his? How does that work?
We did actually want to actually keep those separate because we do want to then sort of explore what are his abilities and how is it to play him if he's actually physical rather than just the wraith.
So he won't necessarily have a lot of the skills we see here where Talion is, teleporting to somebody via the wraith powers.
He could as well. There's a little bit of a spoiler I don't want to give away with him having some of his powers within that and how that works as well. Okay. So
we're attracting, releasing the Karagor so we can use to attract him. Got it. And this is the guy, this is our guy, right? The guy
this is our guy. This is the very first guy.
I said as though I contributed to this in any way.
He's ours. Yeah. How's he going to end up? Is he going to live or is he going to die at the end of this?
Maybe start taking Twitter votes
dominated. Now. Yeah, there's those three options. There's life, death. Maybe he kill Bob again. Who knows? Or there's he can become actually our minion as well, our follower, as part of our army. Okay. So one more Karagor out of its cage, and he's going to come out and face us again.
Not having fall damage is so nice. Just lets you traverse so much faster.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, having that. Oh, okay. So here he comes.
It is worth noting, by the way, we talked about it off the air, but not on the air. We're pretty well into the game because we're pretty well powered up at this point. This isn't the beginning of the game. You were talking about the power advancement earlier.
Yeah, exactly. That ability to really, I guess, take on Sauron head to head by building your own army, having your own war chiefs. Yeah, that's definitely later in the game. Oh, we're turning up on a Karagor.
This thing, yes.
But he is, of course, a beast slayer, so he's probably going to make short work of it.
That guy's not.
He seems like a bad choice as a bodyguard.
I've killed a lot of you rage of filth before, but I never seen one of you come back to life. What's wrong with you?
So he doesn't actually realise that, of course, that Bob let him kill him. So he's taken all the credit for that. So he's killed that Karagor. He's a beast slayer. Oh, let's see how he does with the exploding barrel.
How does he feel about burning?
He hates it.
That guy's not a fan.
Yeah, not a fan. He hates it. So he's now buffed. I think maybe he might get to kill Bob again. And we've got that death threat to pay off against the other guy as well.
I believe in you, Bob. Don't let Michael get you down.
Come on. Yeah, I'm going for Ukrom. I get quite attached to these guys sometimes. And I don't want to see him die.
Orc just means so much to me.
Okay. We've got his 2 bodyguards.
A lot to have to manage, right? I mean, you have to remember who you can use, the stealth attacks against, or the ranged attacks, or animal attacks, things like that. That dynamic changes not only in every fight, but in the middle of the same fight, it might change if somebody's added or
If they turn up,
subtracted.
absolutely. And it's, we really tried to give people quite a high degree of control over the difficulty they want actually within the game itself. So, what can tend to happen, there'll be a couple of war chiefs and it's really good fights, really nicely balanced, and then there'll be one who's just a total bastard and you just can't defeat him. And then he's the guy that you'll invest a bit of extra time and you'll gain the intel and you'll go after his bodyguards first and then you'll sort of take him down and it'll take some more time and some more investment, but then it's just so much sweeter when you finally do defeat him. And then some other guy, you hadn't even checked and you'll go in and you hadn't noticed and he's vulnerable to stealth and it's one headshot and he's dead. And it's like, oh, that was easy. But it's that constantly, very sort of dynamically adaptive difficulty.
It gives you a little bit of empathy for Talion too, right? Because it drives within you a genuine sense of revenge. Like, you want that guy dead because he killed you or he beat you, so you need to go back and get him. The same with Talion, this is a revenge story.
Yeah. So it's like there's a revenge loop on the level of the player, and then on Talion, and then the sort of overarching story as well. Oh,
so we're just about out of time. Let's see if Bob can. All right, we branded the guy we had the death threat against.
Kill him. You want your epic
Trying to defeat
rune.
Ukram. Our final Twitter question: who wins a copy of Shadow of Mordor when it releases at the end of September? Comes to us from Jacob Watson, who writes, can you potentially make your own dominated army? Is there a limit to how many orcs you can dominate?
There is not. So you could go to that whole hierarchy. You can make all of them your own. The challenge is then, keeping them alive, because it doesn't stop Orc society from moving. So they're still getting challenged. Things are still trying to kill them and so on. But yeah, absolutely, you can.
All right, let's see if we've
got
to wrap up. We'll have to see if we can
Come on,
defeat
Ukram.
Here we go.
Do it.
His health bar is going down.
There it
close.
is. There it is. Come on, Bob. We believe in you.
So we built him up.
We built him up,
made
and now
him
we're going
from
to tear him
nothing.
down. It can't happen. He's not giving up. He deserves this. He's earned it.
They're trying to protect him.
Right
One
now.
sliver of life left for Ukram. And he is gone. We have
Having
defeated.
said that, he wasn't decapitated, so he could be back with a nasty scar. So
Moved up from nothing to a veteran war chief, and he is gone. So that brings us to the end of our quick. Again, that hour flew by like we knew it would. That is just 1 hour with Shadow of Mordor. Obviously, it's a very long game. You can do this for a long time
absolutely.
in the game. All sorts of relationships to manage. So, Michael DePlotter, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bob driving over there off camera. Mitch Dyer. My name is Ryan McCaffrey. Shadow of Mordor out September 30th.
Yep.
Xbox One, PS4, PC, and we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for joining us.
epic rune. Thank you.